Hey everyone, it is Dave. Welcome in. It's time to talk about module number 4. Now, so far in this class, we've really concentrated our study of art in Italy during the Renaissance. And this is our first time we're going to be looking outside of Italy, particularly in Northern Europe, and see how art developed there during the same time period. We also have a really fun topical lecture on art theft, looting, and repatriation. It's one that I gave as a professional lecture several years ago. It is, I think, one of the most fascinating topics as far as art is concerned. So I'm really hoping you enjoy that lecture. We have a discussion board this week. I'm going to show you how that's going to work, and as well, I'll run you through our journal entry. So join me. We're going to head over to the Canvas site. I'm going to walk you through module number 4. All right, hey everyone, we're on the Canvas site. We're in module 4 this week. So unlike the other modules, we do have 2 lectures. The one of the Renaissance in Northern Europe, that's going to round out our time of the Renaissance, and we're going to see how art developed outside of Italy. We've got the lecture, the study guide, and then the further exploration section has a little bit of readings, 2 short readings, and then it also has a great video on the Arnolfini portrait. It is by the artist Jan van Eyck, and this is probably the most important painting that comes out of this entire chapter. It's a fascinating painting. I talk a lot about it during the lecture, but this is a video from Smart History, and you have 2 PhD scholars talking specifically on that work. We also get to talk about printmaking, which is something that is derived from the Renaissance era. Think about the Gutenberg Bible. And we're going to take a look at 2 processes. And I do talk about these in the lecture, but it's so different to talk about it compared to actually see it. So we've got the relief printing process here, and then the intaglio printing process here. Okay, so our second lecture is one of my favorites. This is Art Theft, Looting, and Repatriation. This is a professional lecture I did back in 2020, and I've got the study guide. I've also got the further exploration section, which just leads you to some material, mostly video clips or trailers from movies about art theft. The Rape of Europa, fascinating film. The Monuments Men, more of a Hollywoodized version of The Rape of Europa. The Woman in Gold deals with the Klimt painting, and then the portrait of Adela Bloch-Bauer, which is called The Woman in Gold. And then we've got, way back in the day, the Thomas Crown Affair. And this one is actually a remake from a classic from the 1950s, but it stars James Bond. It's Pierce Brosnan in the lead role. So it's a great film. After that, jumping down to the journal. For this, I'm going to have you submit a worksheet for this journal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you compare 2 paintings of the Annunciation. This is a Renaissance work from Italy. This is a Renaissance work from Northern Europe. So that should be kind of a hint there as to how different these artworks are going to be when you compare and contrast them. Now, I do have a worksheet that I'm going to have you submit, and this can be typed into. So artwork 1, we'll just call that the top artwork. You would put down the title of the work, who the artist is, the year it was created, and so on. And this gives you kind of a basis for some of the things we look for in comparing and contrasting art. And not all of these may have information going to be put into those boxes, okay? So you're going to look at things as we go down here, the medium, how large the artwork is. You always want to use American measurements. A lot of these artworks that are in Europe are going to use centimeters or meters. We don't know how to convert that in our brain, so make sure to use American measurements. The origin or the culture. Where were these works created or displayed? How was this work used? Subject matter, story, narrative, which is going to be the same here for both of these, right? They're both the Annunciation. Artistic techniques employed. What kind of things have we learned about from these two cultures, such as linear perspective or using oil paints. What is the work's meaning, the iconography, distinguishing characteristics? How is the scene rendered? Does it differ from artworks of the same subject matter? Well, we have two of the same subject matter right here, right? You can also look up a couple other Annunciation scenes from this time period. Cultural value, probably more along the religious side. Where was this work displayed? Where is this work located now? That should be very easy to find. Who would have been the audience? Is this work a public work, only where everyone would have seen it in a church or a chapel, or would have been a private work held by a particular family? And then, of course, your sources. Again, just do the best that you can on that. This is something we would have done in person if we were in an in-person class. And it's something that when you have that worksheet and you can compare on either side, that really is a great basis for when you have to write an essay. Jumping back to the module, we also have a discussion this week, and the discussion is on art theft. What I'm going to have you do is pull a scholarly article from the library's website for databases. This is a link just to the library's website, but it's pretty easy to go down to the articles and databases list here. And some of us are already familiar with databases such as JSTOR. JSTOR is fine for this article. However, JSTOR tends to have more scholarly magazine articles that are like 10, 15 pages long. I'm not interested in those. For me, I'm going to zoom down to, let's see how we have it here at this school. Maybe under newspapers. Here we go. Because sometimes it's under U.S. major dailies. Here we have it under newspapers. We're just going to click on that. This is a great database to use because it's going to pull a newspaper article that deals with art theft. So some of you may just want to type in art theft. That is totally okay. For me, my particular interest is World War II art theft. So I'm going to add in that word there. And I'm going to see what kind of articles come up. You can, of course, put these as far as relevance from the newest article to the oldest article. It doesn't matter to me as far as when the article is created. It can be an older article. It can be one from last week. Because you know what? Art theft happened last week. That's what's so great about this topic. The only thing you really want to stay away from is a book review. For instance, this one here, this is a book review. And it's not going to be very useful because what you're doing then is summarizing a summary. And that's not good. So we're going to choose, let's say this one here, Panel on Nazi Art Theft Fell Short. Click on that. An abstract just gives you a quick overview. But we're going to look at the full text here. Pretty decent article, and it's about 1,500 words. You want to have an article at least 500 words to summarize it. No more than 2,500 words, because that's a pretty long article. And we don't want this project to be too overwhelming. So what we're going to do is we're going to summarize this article. The close quote button is going to pull up the citation. And it does bring us the URL as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to copy and paste this because this is part of what we're going to need to do. And it doesn't matter to me if you're going to use an APA type of citation. You can go down to MLA, you can go down to Turabian, you can use Chicago, whichever way you want to use is totally okay. The most important thing is we need to cite our sources. So when we look back at our project here, it's going to walk you through finding an article, summarizing the article, adding the citation. You want to give a response to another team member and the use of a database. I am shocked at how many students turn in an article that is not on art theft. So please make sure it is on that topic. So 5 points for a relevant article, 5 points for summary, 5 points for adding a paragraph about why you chose that particular article. As far as the due dates go, initial post 3/1, response by 3/8. That is everything for this week. I'm going to go back to the module real quick. And once again, up at the very top here, our video, action plan, and my office hours every Monday, 4 to 7. All right, with that, I hope you have a great week. Please email or visit my office hours if you have any questions, and I will see you shortly to tell you about module number 5.